This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time! Presenting the champion of the world, Hell! Wham Bam Then Amino!
Yo, it's your boy Wham Bam, and it's another Wham Bam Wednesday. And today is the episode about ordinary people who've done extraordinary things. And you know what? Today is no different. But before we get into it, we ask, show us a little bit of love. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, and let everybody know about us. Share it, like it. In fact, because it's December and it is the month of giving, we're going to give back here at Wham Bam's podcast. That's right. If you go ahead and you subscribe to our podcast, you subscribe to all of our social media, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Facebook stuff, and you go ahead and put Christmas giveaway at the bottom of the comments, put at the bottom comments of this podcast, we'll put you in for a drawing. What are we giving away? We're giving away shirts. We're giving away sweatshirts. We might even be giving away a little moolah, a little bit of money, but you'll never know unless you go ahead and subscribe and do the things that you said to. So remember, do all those things. And as always, you know, today's episode, it's going to be a good one. We have the mayor of Cumming, Georgia, here in the house today, and we're going to talk to him right now. Troy Brumbalow is in the house. Mayor, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up, Wham Bam?
How you doing, man?
Good,
Thanks for coming today. We appreciate you being here in the house.
My pleasure.
So, mayor of Cumming, Georgia. Prior to being a mayor, tell me a little about yourself, man. Where were you born, raised? Did you grow up here in Cumming?
Yeah, so born and raised, Cumming, Georgia. Lived here my whole life and went to high school here. Met my wife in high school, and we're still married today. High
Really?
school sweethearts. Yep.
I didn't realize you guys met in high school.
Oh yeah.
Now, what school? You went to what, North or Central?
No, so I went to North Forsyth Junior High. Back then it was a junior high. Then went to Forsyth County High School.
Yeah.
And she was taking French class, so I had to.
Oh, yeah?
Had to get in on the French class stuff so I could meet her. But then I graduated the first class of South Forsyth in 1990.
Oh, yeah? That's kind of funny because I actually took French, too, because, you know, you had to take a language. But I did it because, you know, the crepes were really good.
Right.
You know?
We didn't have any crepes.
We got to cook a lot, man, in French.
I got you.
So, you know, so obviously, you know, being, you know, born and raised here and stuff, I know your father was a cop here, right, in the county and stuff.
My dad and my granddad both.
Oh, but granddad, too.
Yep.
So what was it like being raised, you know, with a law enforcement family right here in the county that now you're mayor of?
Yeah, I mean, they were, you know, it was a little strict, you know, having a family of policemen, you know, but you knew the difference between right and wrong and knew how to treat people the right way.
Yeah. Did you ever get a jail-free cards?
No, never got any of those.
No? So
No.
did you ever go to jail?
No, never been to jail.
Now, is it...
Got a couple of tickets when I was younger, but
Yeah.
Dad finding out was way worse than what the ticket was.
I hear you. I hear you. That's cool. Now, tell us how you became mayor, because people, you know, all the time, you know, they think, if you're well known, if you're well liked, you know, you should run for mayor.
Yeah.
What do you have to actually do to be a mayor of a city?
Yeah. So actually, you know, in the city of Cumming, you have to have lived in the city for a year. You got to be 21 years old. That's really the only qualifications.
So anybody living in the city of Cumming that's 21 or older can provide a proof of address.
Yep.
Can run for mayor.
Yep. As long as they've lived there for a year, you
Gotcha.
know. But the reason I decided to run, born and raised here, and Cumming, when I was growing up, that's where you went to go to town. That's where you went to congregate, you know. As our county kept growing, you know, when I graduated high school, we had 40,000 people in Forsyth County. Now we have about 270,000.
Grew a little bit.
Yeah, so just a little bit.
Right.
So the dynamic had changed, and so the city actually had kind of, in my opinion, become a pass-through. Like you were just passing through Cumming to go to your house. You know, you weren't going there to congregate and hang out with your friends and, you know.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot here to congregate, right? I mean, wasn't that during a time? I mean, back then, I mean, things were different back in the day. Didn't they say like it was real bad with racism and KKK, the Ku Klux Klan? They always said Cumming, you know, kind of had a lot of that here. Is that true? Was that during a time frame where you remember?
Well, so back in the early 1900s, there were some bad things that happened. There was a girl named May Crow that had got raped and murdered, and they believed it was some African American guys that had done it, and so they basically convicted them. They lynched one, on the square, and the rest went to trial and were convicted and hanged. And that's over 100 years ago, way before I was born, before you were born.
Right.
So then you fast forward in 1987. At that time I'm 16 years old. I'm old enough to drive. But Forsyth County schools then, there were no African Americans that went to school in Forsyth County.
Now, why do you think that was? Was it because it was banded, or like it was just a no-no?
So the story, and here again, I'm too young right at that time to really understand it. I'm 16, but I didn't know till later in life really the history.
Right.
But so in '87 there were some marches in Forsyth County, and it was Reverend Hosea Williams, out of Atlanta, and it was not a pleasant sight. There were rocks thrown and bottles and all that kind of stuff. And so then a little while later, then they came back again, and then Oprah Winfrey's here. Winfrey was
Oprah came?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
She was just getting her career started, and so one of her.
So was she famous on the map at that point in time?
No,
or?
this is one of the things this was early in Oprah's career.
Okay.
So she came, and actually it was, of course, I didn't know him at that time in my life, but I've got to know him later. A guy named Lamar Sexton had a restaurant called the Dinner Deck, and that's where they had Oprah came and did her thing,
Wow.
and so it was. Here again, I'm 16 years old. I didn't understand the gravity of all that at that time. But now Forsyth County's and the city of Cumming is such a diverse melting pot of cultures. We have all ethnicities here, and all that stuff's a thing of the past.
Right.
But
what do you think that's owed to? Like what do you think changed it and when?
Well, I don't think that it was as racist as it was made out to be 35 years ago, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was that racist then. I didn't look at a black person and think of them any differently. Mm-hmm. I just grew up in a place where there weren't any.
Right.
I didn't
know why.
Yeah, I wasn't exposed to that, but I've never looked at somebody of a different skin color and thought of them any differently than I treat the person on the person.
Right.
Has nothing to do with their color of their skin, their eyes, their hair, or anything else.
No, I totally agree. It's so bizarre to think back in the day. I mean, obviously we know we read about history. I mean, like I said, I was too young. I don't know, but you read about history and you learn these things. But it's ironic because I never knew either. And some of my best friends are African American, and they come up here and Cumming. I remember I was younger. I mean, this is 25 years ago, and they were like. They told me, Cumming was a place where the KKK was, right. And they didn't know if they were allowed up in this area.
Right.
I never saw anything like that. Never really knew anything, but
I didn't either.
But I guess it's true.
I've lived here my whole life. Yeah. I didn't either.
Yeah.
I never witnessed any of that stuff.
Gotcha. But it happened. It was true. But there had to have been a change somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
So do you think being being a kid and growing up here, knowing about that stuff, were you conscious of that? As you got a little bit older, and was that one of the reasons that you wanted to become mayor? I mean, tell me what got you into the politics, like what?
And so honestly, being a small town mayor, I don't even really personally, I don't see it as politics. Yeah, it's where I grew up. I wanted to make my hometown a better place. Mm-hmm. So don't really, as we see on TV every day, Democrat, Republican, all that. Being a small town mayor is more about just doing better for your home community. We don't look at things as red and blue. Gotcha. what can I do? And I don't run as a Republican, or a Democrat. We run as nonpartisan, and, it's just more about just, when somebody's got an issue, you try to deal with that issue and make it better and make your hometown a better place.
So when did you actually decide to, hey, you know what, I'm going to run for mayor?
So the previous mayor, which had been the mayor since before I was born, and I got elected as mayor at 47.
Wow.
So he had been the mayor for 47 years. Been in
That's
office.
a long time.
Yeah. He was the longest serving mayor in Georgia history. And so he had been in office 51 years, 4 as a city council, and then 47 as a mayor. And, he said he was going to retire. And, I said, you know what, if I was going to get involved, people had kind of pushed me through the years, and, I never did really want to do it. But I'm like, if I was going to really make a difference, I think the city of Cumming was where I could do that.
Yeah.
And so I had helped the previous sheriff get elected, and then worked at the sheriff's office for a little while on the business side of things. And I saw how easy it was in government to cut cost, to cut waste.
Right.
Literally the first week I was there, cut over $1 million out of the budget.
What?
$1
million,
yes.
Just like that quick.
And it was just like, man,
What the heck did you do?
Well, it all came down to how fleet maintenance was done. Obviously a sheriff's office has a large fleet.
Yeah.
But, so we cut all that out and just saved a ton of money and saved millions of dollars. That's what I picked up on, right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, if I was the mayor of the city, because that always drove me nuts. Waste in government has always driven me insane.
Sure.
When I've got to write a big check to the government every year in taxes,
right?
Where's my tax money going?
Where's it going? Sure.
And so since I've been the mayor, we my first 4 years in office, we cut our budget every single year, and then COVID happened and inflation happened as a result of all that. So the last couple of years, we've had to start inching back up from where we had reduced from. Now, going into my 7th year, we're pretty much flat from what I inherited 7 years ago as a budget. In the meantime, the Forsyth County government, which is totally separate from the city of Cumming, their budget's up 65%. And we're flat.
Gotcha.
So it can be done. You just have to have the wherewithal to say, hey, we're not going to waste money. You know.
Who chooses the budget? Like, where's the numbers come from?
Yeah, so you have different, each department, like within the city. So we have a police department, roads and bridges, park and rec, administration, water and sewer, all that. So it all comes down, well, what does it take to run those departments, to run those services, within the city?
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where you have to pick and choose as to what's wise money to spend and what's not.
Right. It's amazing to me that you came in right away and cut that kind of money and saw, like, that didn't red flag to anybody else prior to?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they were, it was kind of the previous administration, previous mayor, like I say, was going to retire, and then he changed his mind after I was running, and so we've not spoken since.
Oh, really?
Since the election, yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But didn't you have to, you moved? You had to literally moved in town, right? You made a full commitment when you ran because you weren't living in the city, correct? Is that,
right.
am I mistaken there?
Yeah. So you have to live in the city for at least a year. So I'd lived in the county my whole life, but to actually run for mayor, you had to live in the city for a year. So my wife and I, bought a house inside the city limits, and
so you knew then, hey, I'm probably going to run another year or so.
Yeah.
I'm committed. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now, you're the mayor. You're like a hero, right? you're an icon now, to a lot of people. That's the mayor. It's not Troy anymore. You're the mayor. What does that feel like, though? You know, is it you know? I know it's got to bring a little bit of a smile to you, but does it come with a lot of pressures too? Because you know you got a lot to prove.
Yeah, well, it's a ton of pressure, but I'm just Troy.
Yeah,
Like I'm not. You know, that title really means nothing to me. I mean, it really doesn't. It's my hometown. I'm just trying to make it better, and you know, I make so much money being the mayor. You know, I
was going to ask you, does it pay well?
I make $32.87 a day.
Get out! No, you mean an hour?
No, a day.
A day.
$32.87 a day.
Where did they come up with that money? Is that what's in the budget?
Yeah, so it's,
all the money you saved, you could at least raise that a little bit.
Yeah, so the mayor makes $1,000 a month. So I was speaking to a group of second graders. Every February, our county school system learns about president, governor, and mayor. And so a lot of the school system, you know, a lot of the elementary schools will ask me to come speak to them, you know. And so I'm sitting there telling a class one day at Pools Mill Elementary, and a teacher, she's over there with her phone, and she goes, "You only make $32.87 a day." I'd never even looked it up. She's the one that told me.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize that. You make $1,000 a month. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't, not any more, not any less.
No.
That's just it. How many hours you put in?
So at least 40 a week. You know, it's whether I'm at City Hall or in meetings, you know, I'm on the phone constantly, you know. So
you got to have another job.
Yeah. So I've been building houses since I was 21 years old.
Oh yeah.
So I've been doing it 30 years.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you got that. So you're still building on the side.
Yeah.
Still working through that and still being a mayor.
Yeah.
That's gotta be hard. That's gotta put a lot of pressure for $1,000 a month. You must really love the city.
Yeah.
I mean, that just boils down to that. I get, you know, I bet you people don't really realize. I mean, I didn't realize, to be honest with you. You know, that's a lot of work for a little bit of return.
Yeah, there's only one mayor in the entire state that makes over 6 figures a year, and that's the mayor of Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so you know, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. You save the city millions of dollars, and there's no way you can give yourself a raise.
So you could give yourself a raise, but the way that works is the city council. See, we're in the state of Georgia, you have 3 different forms of municipal government. Ours is what's considered weak mayor, strong council form of government. And so, yes, a raise could be given, but to do that, the city council would need to bring it up and vote to do a raise for the mayor and or themselves, but then it couldn't take effect until the next election. So it's not like you can just, the city council or myself could give ourselves a raise. It has to go before the next election so that, you know, you didn't get elected and give yourself a raise.
Right.
And nobody can do anything about it, right?
Gotcha.
So it's,
All right,
but we've
the
talked
question,
about it.
Are you up for a raise? I'm just wondering. Are you up for a raise or what?
I mean, would it be nice? Yes, but is it the end of the world? No. I knew what I was getting into. I knew what it paid, you know, before I did it. You know, did I realize how many hours it takes? No, no idea.
What do you think the hardest thing about being a mayor is? Like, what is let me ask you 2 questions. It's going to be 2 parts. So what do you think is the hardest thing being a mayor? And then what do you think is the one thing that you weren't expecting that's hit you the most?
So probably the hardest thing is realizing, coming to grips with the fact of, you know, there's an old saying of you can't make everybody happy. You know, as I've been mayor for a little while now, I've realized,
you got lovers and haters.
Well, I don't know that you can make anybody happy, right? And I say that not in the wrong way, but you might make you, for instance, happy 99% of the time, but then that 1%,
right,
that you don't do what they think you ought to do,
right?
Well, then they're upset, you know. But you have to weigh, you know, I've got to do what's best for the entire city, right? All the time, you know, and it's not a matter of can I make this person happy. It's what's the best thing for the whole city. So that was the one thing that I had to come to grips with. It was hard at first. Because
I suppose you got friends too.
You
got your personal friends, the personal people, and you're not aligned, with their results, right? Ultimately, I could see how that could be a little bit damaging.
So you just always got to do what you think's best for the community as a whole,
right?
But then, what was the second part?
Pretty much, what you didn't expect.
Yeah. So the one thing I didn't expect, and it really blows my mind, is so I'm the mayor of Cumming, Georgia, right? So we're the county seat of Forsyth County, Georgia. So the city of Cumming has about 7,000 residents. Forsyth County, unincorporated, has 270,000 people. And what I didn't understand was how many people thought you're the mayor of a whole county.
Oh, yeah.
So they can live 20 miles from your city limits, but their postal address, their address is Cumming, Georgia.
Right.
Well, they swear you're the mayor of them, but that's just who the post office delivers their mail from. You have nothing to do with, their street or, the traffic in front of their house or the sheriff's office that serves them. You have nothing to do with that, but they want to blame you, and it's like, I have no jurisdiction. You don't live in. Yes, I live in the city. I voted for you. No, ma'am, or no, sir. You live 10 miles from the city limits. You couldn't have voted for me, and I have no say-so in what goes on at your house,
I got you.
So,
yeah.
But there are different parts of the country that actually have county mayors. I've kind of learned that. Well, maybe that's where they came from. Well, the mayor was the mayor of a whole county.
Right.
But that's not the way it is here,
Right. How's your relationship with, the governor and stuff?
Yeah, so it's great. I mean, it's Brian Kemp has done, in my opinion, a tremendous job.
So you guys talk? He doesn't just come out once he's ready to run?
No,
So
literally, I could call him right now on the podcast, and chances are he'll answer the phone.
Yeah, we should do that.
And
we should do that.
And
let's see. Let's try it. Go ahead, dial his number. Let's see if he picks up. Let's see if he picks up for kicks.
All right.
We'll see what the governor.
If not, I'll get a text.
Yeah. All right.
Back. All right.
Brian, let's see. Let's see if he's gonna make a liar or not. We'll see. But he does come around. So he comes around. He helps. He gives you ideas. Put on speaker.
Well, I got to connect to your Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I don't have any surfer.
So go to Wham Bam's Wi-Fi, man. Go to Wham Bam's Wi-Fi. And it's capital Y.
Hang on, I'm trying to.
So there's got to be some perks.
Wham Bam's Wi-Fi. Okay.
Yeah, I got to.
What's the password?
Capital Y. Yankees. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Just 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Boom. You connected?
Yep, I think so.
All right. This is going to be fun. This is a good little test. We're going to see how much pull the mayor really has.
Your phone's not registered on a network, so you can only make emergency calls.
Let me see. What kind of phone you got? We got to get the mayor a new phone. Who's your service with?
Well, you got to get better service in the Wham Bam podcast
wait a second,
studio.
come on. You don't even have an Apple phone. What is it? They don't give you a phone either, I'm guessing? Where's your settings? Where's your settings on this thing?
Well, I don't know. You're looking at it. I can't see it.
Damn. Find your settings. We're going to fix this.
Well, let's go to something else, and we'll go back to the governor. How about that?
You pull up in that settings and stuff.
But I'll say this, so we kind of touched earlier about the whole Oprah Winfrey and the bad parts in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
Here,
yeah, right.
So rewind a few years ago, we had the terrible thing with George Floyd.
Yeah, of course.
And so then you had Black Lives Matter protests nationwide. Well, they came to do one in Forsyth County on the square in the city of Cumming.
Gotcha.
And so my greatest fear is that the history from decades ago and a century ago was going to rear its head in our community where that was not the case anymore, right?
Right.
And so there was a Black Lives Matter protest scheduled on the square. And, and talking with the sheriff and all that, my fear was they were going to choose Cumming, Georgia to try to make a statement. And so I called the governor, and he answered the phone right away. And I said, Brian, and he's the kind of guy that we have that relationship. I can say, Brian,
Right, sure.
I still respect him, don't get me wrong, but,
Of course.
we know each other enough. And so I said, look, we've got this protest, and, Atlanta had already been dealing with it. He was full aware. And I said, I can't have 1987 over again. And he said, I'm going to have Homer Bryson call you, the head of Georgia Emergency Management, and he'll take care of you, whatever you need. Thank you, sir. We hang up the phone. 30 seconds later, my phone's ringing. And it's the head of Georgia Emergency Management. Hey, Mr. Mayor, Governor told me to give you a call, whatever you need. I'm here to help. Told him, hey, I can't have 1987 over again. And he said, I was a state trooper then. I was there.
Oh, wow.
I understand. I know. What can we do? So, well, we have a National Guard armory a mile and a half from the square. I'd love to have guys on standby in case something were to happen, so that things don't get out of hand. Said, no problem, done. And so what the public didn't know, luckily, there were peaceful protests.
Yeah.
We didn't have to deal with it. But the National Guard was there on standby, and nobody knows about it. And the reason they were because we have a great governor.
Right.
That understands, and the fact that a small town mayor, can give him a call. And that's not been the only time that I've had to call him for help.
Right.
He's always been there, and it's been immediate. So I can't praise the job he's done enough, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care. That's who I got to deal with, right? And the fact that we can get stuff done for our community because you got a governor like that can't be replaced.
It's good. That's good. It's
And
great.
this is his last term. He can't run again. So
Right. What about you? You think you ever go to governor?
no,
No?
I have no interest whatsoever.
None? Just a little bit, maybe?
No.
Yeah. How come?
None. It's hard enough trying to look after 7,000 people. I couldn't imagine trying to do it over 10 million.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You've done a real good job. I'm not sitting here trying to, pat you on the back, but honestly, I'm going to pat you on the back. You've done a really good job. I mean, you've done a lot of
appreciate
great
that,
things, for the city. Obviously, I didn't grow up here, but being here for, 30 years now and being around, I've seen tremendous changes. But what you've done in just a short period of time, especially your first term, was pretty amazing. But, shoot, you've built some really cool things here in the city. And I think you brought a lot of life back. Yeah. There's people that are kind of proud of living in town, whereas before you didn't see that. You didn't feel like that. The city center. I mean, man, what a great dream that was that you brought to real life. Tell the viewers a little bit about the city center and how you came up with that idea and how that all began.
Yeah, so the city center, kind of touched on it earlier, how come it had become a pass-through. Well, you have other parts of Atlanta, that Woodstock and, Sugar Hill, neighboring communities that were kind of doing these revitalization projects, and Cumming had never had that, and so that was my vision was to, and kind of little irony, we named the main street Vision Parkway, because it was a vision.
Right.
Doesn't say Troy's vision.
Right.
It says Vision Parkway, because it was our vision, but we wanted to recreate, the city of Cumming is a little different than some other communities around because we never had a railroad. So we didn't have that old time development. You know, Forsyth County in the city of Cumming was the poorest county in the state 40 years ago. Now we're the wealthiest. But 40 years ago, we were the poorest.
Yeah.
It was just a farming community, you know. So we didn't have industry here. We didn't have cool old buildings that could be repurposed. So we set out to build a city center that kind of looked like what Main Street America could have been, you know, 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, we didn't want the glitz and glamour of Avalon or Halcyon. We wanted it to be Main Street America and somewhere, you know, I've said it 100 times, where you could go in your flip-flops.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good time, enjoy yourself, and relax, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? You had to have land to do that.
Yep.
And that costs money.
Yep.
How did you, I mean, obviously you made a cut. You saved a lot of money. Is that where the money went?
Yeah. No, so we ended up, the project we wanted to do, we bought really what was the only available piece of property in the city. But it was challenged because there were some creeks in it, you know, but we turned those creeks into a positive. Mm-hmm. We went through the Corps of Engineers and did a stream restoration project and actually moved streams. And now the water quality is better than it was. The creeks are better than they were before we started. And so we actually we bought the land pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You know, because it was challenged. But we turned those challenges into our park in the middle.
Right. Yeah, you guys did a great job with the layout. I was actually quite surprised with the water and how it was developed. Right. Because it really doesn't play a factor. In fact, the factor that it plays is kind of a scenic,
right,
you know, feel to it all, and it makes it really nice, you know, and when you're there. So, you know, kudos to you though, man. I mean, this was something that you had. I know you drew it up, you know, by hand, right? I mean, you did this. Like you design, you know, you pretty much designed it all and kind of had it in your head. And, you know, you went from there and you said, I'm going to make this happen. And you did, you know, so how long did it actually take you to actually put it and to get it done, would you say?
So we were, took office in 18, January of 18, and then we broke ground in 19. Mm-hmm. But we had found this property, didn't know this property before, you know, I got elected, you know, so then it was up for sale and we went and walked it and looked at it, and then I kind of sketched it out on a piece of notebook paper. I wish I still had that piece of notebook paper.
Yeah.
Because it's real, what we've got now is really close to what I sketched out.
What's up, guys? Monster Michael Todd here, and I'm the Cost Plus Processing, the leader in merchant processing. If you're a business owner, you're still paying processing fees, you have to contact Cost Plus Processing. 1-855-391-9190. That's 1-855-391-9190. Be sure to tell them the Monster sent you and get a free gift.
So, Troy, I know that you, you know, obviously worked in cars and stuff too, right? Yeah. I mean, didn't you do cars in, was it Fast Furious or Fast, what? I know there was like 10 of them. So, wasn't your cars in actually a couple of the movies?
Yeah, so restoring old cars is a hobby of mine, and I like the Mopars, the Dodge and Plymouth stuff. And so I built a 2,000 horsepower 1971 Barracuda that was in Fast and the Furious 5.
2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Literally, it ran 2,000. Wow.
Street car.
Yeah, okay.
And so the engine stuck about a foot above the roof.
Yeah.
And we named the car Frankencuda. So it had a cartoonish Frankenstein paint job over the top that you really didn't see unless you were looking at it from above. If you were just walking up the car, you didn't really see it all. But then if you saw a picture of the car from above, it was like it was painted on a canvas.
Dang.
But so that car was in Fast and the Furious 5, called Fast 5.
Fast 5?
So
Paul Walker was still around then.
Yeah, so I was down there, and they had written my car into the script, and so Vin Diesel and Paul Walker were pulling up to. Once you saw the movie. See, at the time, I didn't know the script of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. So they're pulling up in a Dodge Charger, and they're going to get a fast car for a street race, mm-hmm. you know, in Brazil. And so anyway, they get out and they go up and they're talking about my car, and So mine was kind of the centerpiece of that scene. And so it's in between takes, and, I'm able to be there the whole time, but I'm kind of just off the edge. And so it's in between takes, and Paul Walker's out there like wiping my car down.
So you respected it.
And so I walked up and popped the trunk, and pulled out some quick detailer, and I just said, "Hey, you might want to use this." And he looked at me, kind of shocked, and he goes, "Was this your car?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh man, I thought this was one of Dodge's cars, that they give us, man, this thing's incredible." And so we just kind of hit it off and got to talking. And so then later, I got him over, and we hung out for a while, and, he's checking the car out and signed the car for me, signed the dash. And
very cool.
He's a car guy,
right.
And so then later on, and he goes, "I'll get Vin Diesel and them to sign it." And so then it was like the next day, I ran into the Rock, and
oh yeah,
so
you got to see the Rock too.
Yeah, and so
that's
was crazy.
That's my daughter's crush.
I thought he was crazy at first. He was he's over there kind of right behind my car, and in this scene he's going to confront and arrest Vin Diesel. Dom, and
yeah,
he's over there, and he's down in a 4-point football stance, and he'd get up, and
is he really that big in real life?
Oh yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
but then he's pouring water over his head, and he's jumping up and down, and I'm like, this guy's crazy,
Was this part of the script or no?
What he was doing, he was getting psyched up for the scene, and then they would call action, and then he would walk past my car and go up through all these cars, and he's going to confront Vin Diesel.
Gotcha.
And so once I saw the movie, I'm like, oh, it all makes, but he was just trying to get in this mindset, like, I'm going to go kick some butt and take some names, right? So anyway, he's over there, and, I had a lawn chair that was just down past him, and finally, I just kind of said, well, screw it. I'm going to go say something to him, And I walked by him, and I didn't call him the Rock. I walked by him, and he's down in a 4-point football stance.
Yeah.
For any of you that played football, I did. And, he's down there on the ground like that. And I walked by him, and I just said, "What's up, Dwayne?" And he looks up at me, and he goes, "Not much, man. How are you?" And he's right behind my car, and I said, "Hey, that's my car right there. You think I can get you to sign it later?" He goes, "I can't right now, but yeah, I'll sign it later."
Yeah.
"I appreciate it, man." And he went back to acting all crazy, And so you fast forward, all this filming was happening. Most of it was happening at night. It was still daylight when they were doing this, but it was under an overpass in Atlanta, down by the old Georgia Dome.
Oh, yeah.
And so they finally stopped filming at like 4 a.m. This is like 12 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just swarms him. And people are asking him to sign their car and, this and that. And one guy, at this point, my car had been moved about 100 yards. I could see it, but it wasn't part of this scene.
Right.
And somebody wanted him to sign one 50 feet away. Mine's 100 yards away. And he's like, "Man, I'm pretty tired, And I'm like, "Great." This whole time I'm not rushing him. I'm like staying back in the, in the background. And then, so about that time he looked at me and he goes, "Where's that car at?"
Uh-huh.
And
you're like, "We got to take a walk."
And I said, "They've moved it down there." He goes, "Well, come on, let's go."
That's cool.
He did exactly what he said. He was just such a genuine, nice guy.
Yeah.
And
that's good to know.
So then we walked down there to my car, and we're actually on the behind-the-scenes footage of the DVD. It shows him signing my dash, and we're talking about the car. And so then the camera, this part didn't make the behind-the-scenes, but, there's a picture of me and him standing at my car.
Mm-hmm.
But then he turns, we didn't realize it, the camera crew had followed us down there. And so they're filming all this.
Uh-huh.
And, he's the cop in the show, in Fast Five. And he looks at the camera and he goes, you know, if you're a cop out there, you see this on the road, he says, don't even think about it because you're not going to catch it. And all this is unscripted, you know.
Right.
And then I said, until I run out of gas.
Yeah.
You know.
There you
and so it was really cool. But then, so at the time they stopped filming, The Rock had signed my car and Paul Walker, and I'd got to spend time with both of them.
Yeah.
No Vin Diesel. And so I get a call about a month later that the film, they tried sending the film through Atlanta Airport, and, you know, you can't X-ray motion picture film, it'll ruin it. And it was all marked as such. But TSA agent said, no, we've got to scan it. They're like, no, you can, it'll ruin it. No, we got to scan it. They scan it and they ruin it.
Mm.
And so I get a call about a month later saying, we need your car back. Here's what's happened. We got to refilm.
Oh, so they redid it.
And so
How'd they find you, man?
And so, well, they give you a check. You don't get a big check, but, you know,
No,
for
but
me,
how did they find
the
your
car?
Yeah.
So
Like,
a good friend of mine that had did some metal fabrication work on the car for me, you know, kind of did the framework and all that. Real good friend of mine, BJ Fisher, lives here locally, and he's in the movie business now doing car stuff.
Gotcha.
At this time he wasn't. Now he is.
Sure.
So anyway, somebody that was looking for the cars called BJ and said, hey, we need some really wild-looking muscle cars. Do you know any? He goes, well, I know one. And so we sent pictures in, and like I say, got a call later saying, hey, we want your car, and
Gotcha.
we'll pay you, I think it was $250 a day.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, for your car to be in it, you know, but.
And they let you on set too? That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And so anyway, the film got destroyed at Atlanta Airport, so they had to refilm. And so we're back a month later, and they set the whole thing up like they did before. And so they're in like a break, and Paul Walker sees me. I'm 40 yards away probably. He sees me, and he motions to me, have I got my pen?
Right.
And I'm like, I shook my head, yeah. And he goes, hang on. About 5 minutes later, he comes back with Vin Diesel and Justin Lin, the director, brings them back and to sign the dash of my car.
That's
and Vin Diesel's like looking at the car, and I'm standing on the passenger side. He's on the driver's side, and he goes, well, all the good spots are already taken. And Paul Walker goes, well, just sign it right there. And he goes, well, I guess I have to, Paul. That's all you've talked about for a month. He told me he'd get him to sign it,
Right.
and he'd never signed it. And
That's
so he
awesome.
hounded him about it for a month, you know. And so then Vin Diesel's like, well, I'll sign it right here. Everybody can see it if I sign it right here. He signed it by the door, you know. But Paul Walker was a special dude. I got to go to, it was Fast 7 or 8. A friend of mine, the same guy that had kind of got my car in, was working on that
Right.
set. And so I got to go a couple of times when they were filming. And one of them was an outdoor scene where Vin Diesel dies, or they think he dies, wrecking the car. You know, he didn't die, but they thought he was dead.
Right.
So the whole cast was there, and they took a break, and this would have been Fast 7. And Paul Walker sees me and recognized me from 2 movies prior. And we just struck up a conversation, and he's talking about, what are you working on now? And he was just such a car guy, you know. And so we talked their whole break, about 30 minutes. We're talking old cars and all that kind of stuff. And then 2 days later is when he died in that wreck.
It's horrible.
Yes, it was.
Horrible.
You know, now all
In a
those
car.
actors.
In a car, too.
Yeah.
Ironically speaking, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But out of all those actors, every one of them had a bodyguard with them. Not that The Rock needed it.
Right.
But I think it was just, he's such a good guy that he didn't have to be the bad guy. His bodyguard kind of guy would say, hey, it's all right, guys. It's time for us to go. Been a long day.
Right.
So he didn't have to be that bad guy because he really is such, you're around him enough right there. You kind of see what kind of people they are, and he was just a great guy. But Paul Walker never had anybody with him. Yeah. He'd walk right through the whole middle of the set with all the extras, and he was talking to everybody. Never had anybody with him. He was a special guy.
Yeah, that's great. That's sad, man. Yeah. You got me thinking back because he he was a great guy, but he was a great actor too, man. I mean, I loved all of his movies. He was just it seemed like he was just getting started.
Oh yeah, he was
type of thing.
Really was.
So that's cool, man. You've done some cool, really good things. Have they called you since, like afterwards, seeing you got any other cars going on?
No.
Well, let me ask you still got the car?
No. So I sold that car at the Barrett Jackson auction out in Scottsdale, the one on TV.
You sold the car.
Yeah. So it brought $308,000. So
wow.
It brought a good bit of money, and that was back in 2011.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot.
That was big money then.
Yeah.
But hey, this weekend I get to take Santa Claus down the Christmas parade in a 1970 Roadrunner convertible.
Oh yeah, beep beep.
So
you get that one going.
So I'm taking him.
Get Santa to sign it.
I'm taking him and one of our city residents and her grandkids. She'd asked me, because she's riding the parade. I said, well, how about you ride with me and Santa Claus?
There you go.
And so I get to take them. So that'll be special, So
that's cool.
Every year in the parade, I drive Santa in an old car of mine or a truck or something. So this year we're doing a Roadrunner convertible.
Yeah, I think you enjoy that, man. That's the one thing you do great is, when it comes to community things, you're always a part of it. Yep. Like I find it hard sometimes to be, there for everything, but you always find a way, to make an appearance. And I'm talking about not just events, but things if your firefighters are doing. So you're always there being involved. The police, you're there being involved. You're always there. I know some people that have had some, fallen hard times, and you've always showed up. So, you hear a lot of great things. So you've done a great job in the community. The one thing I got to ask you, though, because I was told this. Now, I know you play softball, obviously, because I sponsored your team, helped them out a little bit. But is it true that there was a game where you guys you came up to bat 9 different times in the same inning and hit a home run every single time? Or is that is that bull?
No. So it's true fact.
True fact. You literally had a game where you got up 9 times in the first inning, and you had a home run every single time.
Yeah.
Come on, man. For real, like, who'd you play?
Yeah. So
what was it, like a little league field or something? What was it?
No, it was 300-foot field. So we were playing a friend of mine. His name was Sean Snow, and he started. He called his tournament the Snowball Classic, and so it was in Rome, Georgia, and it's 300-foot fields, and so we would throw a team together every year and play it, and we won it every year, probably the first 5, 6, 7 years he had it, And so we go up there, and this one year I'm leading off, and I went 9 for 9 with 9 home runs in the first inning.
Really?
And so the other team comes in and scored 1 run, and then they quit.
What was that?
So we beat them 89-1.
That's crazy.
In 1 inning, and then they quit. So.
I don't know if I could have sat there if I was a bit. Even playing had been
we
hard.
were visitors, so we got to hit first. So then they came in and
they thought they were going to score 90. So you had 89 runs
in
the first inning. That's how you finished.
Yeah. And then they came in and scored 1.
There was no mercy rule then.
Well, the mercy rule actually in that tournament, you had to go 5 innings, but they quit after 1 and said, that's it, we're done. So,
89 runs. That's got to be a record right there.
Yeah,
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
we had a good time.
You got a lot of guys there that can ding them out of the field. Man, what's the most home runs your team's ever hit? In one game.
I don't know. I mean, we've had some. Like that one game was 89-1. We've had a lot of games that went 60 and 70 runs per team. Both sides. Scoring that many.
But you actually carry the record, right? Aren't you the home run king in softball?
Well, no. So I had a bat company back in the 90s. I actually won the World Home Run Derby.
World Home Run Derby
at the A World, out in Texas. But swinging one of our bats, yeah.
So you went to Texas. No, was it corked?
Do what?
Was it corked? Was it a legal bat? Or was it
No,
legal?
those were aluminum. This was way after the cork days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had a little special something inside of it.
Yeah, no.
So you could just really you knocked them out, man. What's the furthest you've ever hit one?
I mean, I've hit some over 500 feet.
Really?
But now age catches up to you. I'm 52 now, so but I can still hit some 400.
Yeah. So you still get them over the fence.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
I know you're an avid golfer as well. So you got any good golfing stories? Who did you play golf with? Anybody good? I mean, being the mayor, you had to play with some famous people.
Well, I mean, it's to play with get to play some courses you probably wouldn't get to play otherwise, But I'm a big Pittsburgh Steeler fan.
Yeah.
Been my whole life, and so I got to play with Cordell Stewart before, and
Oh yeah.
so Jerome Bettis, if you're listening, or Hines Ward, I know y'all live in Atlanta, so hey, let's hook up and play some golf.
You know what? I actually saw. I didn't play with him, but he actually played in front of me. So I went up to the tees, and he was teeing off over at St. Marlowe's back in the day. It was a long time ago, probably 25 years ago when I first moved here. And I'll never forget because he got up on the first tee and he whacked it. And sure as heck, he sliced the crap out of it, hit a house, window shattered. He put another one down, hit another one almost in the same identical, like almost literally through the same freaking window that he already smashed and stuff. And he said, "You guys want to play through?" We said, "Yes, we do." And we ended up playing through and stuff. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But playing with Cordell, is he a good golfer or what?
Yeah, he's a good golfer.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, I think I beat him a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
You gave him a little tune up?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
He's
cool.
a good golfer, though.
Yeah. Now, SEC game was recently. You were there. I know you're up there in a suite and stuff. What's your feelings about the game and this national championship that they chose? Now that I know you're a big Bulldog guy.
Yeah, so Georgia got beat. Georgia beat Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hats off to Alabama. But I don't think you can say the best four teams are in the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go from the best team in the country all year, 2-time defending champs, and then you lose to Alabama by a field goal, but then all of a sudden you're
Right.
you're not in the top four.
No, they dropped 5 spots, which I think is in history. I don't think it's ever been done. I don't think any teams ever went from number 1 to number 5.
Yeah.
They
went to 6.
And they went to 6.
dropped 6,
Right.
yeah.
I don't think anybody went from 1 to 5, and they went to 6. So, there's a lot of controversy, obviously, over it. Myself, I do agree. I don't think the top 4, I do think Georgia should have been in over Texas. I really do. Texas.
But I get the argument, Texas beat Alabama.
Yeah, but
Alabama beat Georgia.
But let's look at that for a second. Hold on. Texas beat Alabama very, very early.
They did.
And then afterwards they lose Oklahoma.
Right.
Who's really, they're not, come on, there's Oklahoma. So when you take a look at it and you look at a powerhouse like in Alabama,
that's barely 4th and 31 they got 2 losses, the week prior.
But they didn't. But they came away. But they didn't. My whole point is Alabama deserved to be there. Alabama definitely deserves to be there. I don't think that they don't. They definitely deserve to be there. They fought hard all year. They got better. They won 11 in a row. And they were the last national champion before Georgia, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's definitely, they've been there before.
Oh, yeah.
So knowing that and knowing the program. Saban. Yeah, I mean, come on. Saban's one of the greatest coaches ever.
Yep.
And you got to, that should add up into the rankings too. And that's why I don't believe that Texas should be there. I believe it really should be Georgia because I don't think that they did enough. And I think if them two played each other, I would love to see that game. I really would. I think Georgia-Texas would be a great matchup, and I think Georgia would just annihilate them out of spite. But it'd be fun. Texas got great football teams.
Yep.
So, where does mayor go from here, man? Are you planning on staying, being a mayor? How much longer? Like, what are your goals? You want to do 47 years?
No. Well, 1, I won't live that long, and 2, no way.
No.
But I've still got 2 years left, on this term, and we'll kind of see. But, I'm kind of thinking 3 terms may be it. I think I'll run one more time, and then, we'll just have to kind of see. Things would have to get easier, It's a big commitment, and, but I never got into it to be that for a long time. You know, I think it's leave it in a better place than you found it. And, you know, I don't have a problem passing it on to somebody else and letting them take it from there, you know.
That's great.
But I got no desire to go to any higher office either. You know, I can ride off in the sunset, you know.
Yeah, you've done a lot of great, amazing things, man. Either way, nobody can hold that against you. That's one thing that you've done, and you're always got to get credited for that. So, you know, you can literally go out with your head hung high, saying, you know what, I saved the city a lot of money. I've done some cool things. I've built some cool things, and made a difference in a lot of people's lives. So I think that's one thing. So I thank you for that, you know, on behalf of the city, you know, as far as that goes. But, you know, for some kid out there or man that wants to run for mayor, what would you tell them? What would you tell them the best thing to do and to prepare them for what they're going to get into?
Yeah, just watch videos, go to meetings, you know, figure out the way the city actually works, how it runs, you know. But it's just the one thing, honestly, you got to have to do. It's just a passion for your fellow man and your community. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, is how can you make it better? Yeah. And that's what I think makes a good mayor. You know, history will tell whether I was one or not. You know, but that's what you got to do. It's just got to want to help people. You know, because that's what it's about. You know, because it's going to take a lot of your time. You know, it's kind of, don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm a preacher or anything like that, but being a mayor, I can kind of liken it to being a pastor of a big church. You know, you're overseeing a lot of people, you know, and when they hurt, you hurt. You know, it's sad, you know, when people that I've got to know that I'd have never got to know them unless I was the mayor, you know, that they pass away. You know, and that hurts. You know, it hurts because you got to know them and create relationships with them that, I'll be honest, I'd have never met them if I wasn't the mayor. You know, and I've met some great people that, you know, have passed on since I've been the mayor. You know, and that part hurts. You know, you get to know people, you know.
So there you have it, folks. Another great episode of Wham Bam's podcast. And again, as the mayor said, if you want to go out and try to become mayor, make sure you have the passion to help and the passion to serve, and understand that your time is going to be needed. That's it from a nutshell. You know what? As your boy Wham Bam always says, remember, if your life was a movie, would it be worth watching? And if the answer is no, then stop being ordinary and start being extraordinary. Till next Wednesday, as always, stay positive, baby, and keep testing negative. This is your boy Wham Bam, and I'm out. This podcast was brought to you by Cost Plus Processing, the leader in merchant processing. Call 1-855-391-9190 and find out why they are the future in merchant processing.